guys. So, these are monkeys, and, well, a chimp is an ape, but you like monkeys, right? These guys are kind of cute. I'm sorry it's not in color, by the way, but these are some monkeys. Did you know that they have what's called simian immunodeficiency virus? And chimps eat these guys right here, and so they get these strains, and it turns into a new kind of SIV, and that when people in Africa, back in like the early 1900s, would capture and eat the chimps, when they were butchering the chimps, they would contract the SIV, and it turned into HIV. And that is how we got HIV in humans today. So if you ever go to Africa, don't eat chimpanzees. You might just get HIV. So, yeah, this is how HIV was contracted in humans. HIV has been around for about a century, but it wasn't until the 1980s that it was actually prevalent around the world. According to the Avert website, copyright 2016, it states that the first transmission of SIV to HIV occurred around in 1920 in what's Kinshasa of the Democratic Republic of Congo. So to understand how HIV can be so deadly, we will discuss its transmission and how it infects people, and then we'll discuss how we've discovered people who have an immunity to the virus and how scientists are using this to possibly create drugs that can inhibit HIV in the future. So, it's widely accepted, as I said, that HIV was transferred from chimpanzees' SIV. According to a 2003 National Geographic article, SIV was, like I said, contracted by chimps whose prey were monkeys, like the ones I showed you in the beginning, which was a red mangabe and a sooty-nosed monkey. So, and then as I said, the SIV was transferred from people who ate the chimps as meat, but typically it was transferred when they were butchering and they would get cuts or they would get blood on them somehow, but it was also likely that they got it from raw consumption. I don't know, don't recommend that, but so when they would get it from that, it's actually believed that some people were able to fight off the initial SIV, but unfortunately some people weren't, and the virus mutated and became what is now known as HIV. One of the leaders of the National Geographic study, his name is Paul Sharp, of the Institute of Genetics at the University of Nottingham in England, claims that what's interesting is that the major difference between SIV infection of chimpanzees and HIV infection of humans is that chimpanzees are not known to develop any symptoms. So essentially what that means is that when these people would eat the chimps, they didn't know they were infected with anything, and that's why they would catch the disease. So once humans contracted HIV, it was obviously only a matter of time before it spread. Initially, it was believed to have been spread by a growing sex trade that was going on in Kinshasa and other migrant people. Afterwards, the Avert website states that it was found that HIV had spread to about 5 different continents from Africa. So the US was one of these. And I think it was also Australia, obviously Africa, and there was 3 other ones, but I can't remember them right now. So now we are going to discuss the genes of the Europeans and how the mutation in their genes has been used to create drugs. So first, we're going to talk about what HIV is. It's a lysogenic virus, which means that it's something, when it gets inside you, is going to be dormant for a while. It's basically just going to be in your cells and using your cells to reproduce and create more HIV. But if it's left undetected for too long, it'll turn into AIDS, which is a lytic virus, which means that at that point, if it is AIDS, it is actively killing your cells, which is why when people have AIDS, they typically die really quickly. So when the HIV gets into your body, the first thing it does is find what is called the T helper cells, which are your white blood cells, which are part of your immune system. And that's where it starts infecting it and increasing its viral count in your body. And like I said, once it becomes lytic, it's actively killing you who know who Magic Johnson is, he's someone who's had HIV for over 20 years, and it's thanks to something they call the triple cocktail of drugs that, basically keeps the virus from becoming AIDS, and it has the viral count so low that it's basically undetectable. However, studies conducted by the University of Liverpool discovered a gene within 10% of Europeans that can make them resistant or immune to HIV. So it's believed that this mutation arose out of the Black Plagues way back when. So they're not, obviously it was people who lived, so that was not very many of them. So the mutation occurred on what's called the CCR5 gene, and basically when this mutation occurs, it makes the receptor that's normally on the outside of the cell inside of the cell, and that is what keeps them it prevents the people from being infected from HIV, because HIV attaches to the outside of the cell when it infects you. So scientists are using the discovery of this gene to create a drug or vaccine that can be used to mimic the mutation and basically inhibit HIV from infecting you. So, by discovering how HIV first came into contact with humans, how it spread, and how scientists are working on new methods to, not really cure but treat HIV, we can understand how it's contracted and that HIV is a virus with a lot of dangerous potential. So, to end this, a little food for thought. There are about 1.2 million people in the U.S. alone who are infected with HIV, but only 1 out of every 8 of them know that. So keep that in mind next time you want to be intimate with someone. Thank you.